Well, apparently the FBI came to my house yesterday because I made some bomb threats to Activision and their daughter companies, child companies. Anyways, turns out, I mean, should have known that it wasn't something one should do, anyways. But turns out, apparently, school shootings, school bombings, school issues are happening. I want to say almost every single day, every week, every month. Apparently, it's happening so often that well, I mean, I guess, but yeah. Which actually brings me to a point of, if they're having so many issues with that, I wonder, do people not realize that, I mean, I for one grew up in Child Protective Custody, Department of Family Protective Services, okay? I mean, I live in Texas. That said, like, people in foster care, they get heavily medicated to the point where it's pretty much you're just a walking zombie. Most people can't even handle that. So, and then, I mean, granted, some people are a bit of out there without, medication and all that, but, I mean, the solution isn't to heavily medicate someone. I mean, if you can't help them without the medication, I mean, from my understanding, you can't even help them when they're on the medication, then how do you expect them to not, or how do you expect them to deal with their emotions? I mean, seriously, medication doesn't help. I mean, sure, you could like pacify what thoughts they might have at some point in time, but it's not a solution. It doesn't solve the issue. I, for one, growing up, and I'm going to sit here and tell a very serious issue. I mean, as y'all can see, I'm white as fuck. And the issue or the incident that happened back in 2012, May 4th, May 6th, I believe it was May 6th, should be Sunday, May 6th, 2012, 2 days after, when in Child Protective Custody, 2 days after I had a visit with my sister, since, we got separated. Now, I was staying in a residential treatment center, RTC. You can't have belts. You couldn't have belts. You couldn't even have shoelaces. And even if you had shoes that had shoelaces, you had to give them up. You couldn't have pants with pockets. You can't really go outside of your room without a staff present. You can't go to, say, the gym that happens to be on campus without a staff present. You couldn't, say, ride the swings. I don't remember there being swings at the placement, but you couldn't ride the swings without a staff present. In fact, even getting into the building, a staff had to open the front door. Now, there's technically 3 ways you can go about that. One, there was a button behind it. Well, I guess they didn't need to keep the front door anymore, but But one, there was a button behind the main desk in the main lobby that opens the front door. That's outside of a power outage. It's the only way you're going to get outside that front door. Meaning, if you wanted to run away and you were by yourself, you essentially had to have someone sit there and press a button for that front door to open, and you weren't getting out. Essentially, it's a jail. So for 6 months, now understand, when I first went there, I was 17. They had kids ranging from, I would say, as young as 8 to 17. In fact, I turned 18 in there because my birthday's in April. Let's just say I'm not great when it comes to being bullied. I can't exactly demonstrate it on the wall behind me, but my hand, yeah, I've slapped some walls. Okay, now you might be thinking, okay, you just slapped a wall. No. With enough force to make a hole in it with my entire hand, just slapping it one time. I mean, that's sheetrock. I mean, it's easier said than done. But, yeah, it was not great. Now, okay, the residential treatment center also had plexiglass windows. I mean, I can understand that. You're trying not to have kids that would sit there and, punch windows and, cut themselves. I actually stayed in another placement I believe, the placement I'm currently talking about regarding the issues of the electromagnetically locked doors where you can't even go outside. I would argue you couldn't even take a piss without a staff present. But, I mean, it's not juvie, it's not jail or anything like that. I know you had your own bedroom. You had, in fact, you're almost always paired up with another kid and all that. But, yeah, you had your own bathroom. But that's about the only nicest part about that. Anyways, yeah, and another place, that placement, I believe that was in Fort Bend, in Texas. Another placement I was at, I would say, what was it, 3-4 years prior, was in Lomita. They actually had 2 buildings. One was for boys, another was for girls. And they periodically, had everyone swap houses and all that at times. Kids-wise. Kids would move from, some kids would go from the one house that was all boys to they would literally pack their items, like say in bags, and then the all boys moved to the all girls moved to the all boys house. And it would switch from being, all girls house to being an all boys house and then they're all girls being to all boys. They still had glass. They still had glass and all that. So, yeah, someone got stupid, punched a window, and had to have stitches down their arm. That said, the Fort Bend placement, yeah, plexiglass. I actually think someone practically started to bang their head against that plexiglass because, yeah, you'd think being in a placement such as that, the staff would be trying to help, and there was actually one that would have helped had I waited a full 24 hours before the incident. But yeah, we're not gonna talk about what ifs. That said, yeah, I don't take bullying very well, and I don't think anyone, under normal circumstances would. So, I mean, y'all think that it's just rainbows and sunshines? No. Like, people that have issues or have anger management issues. I, for one, still do, and all that. I mean, growing up in foster care and on medication, you don't get taught how to properly control them. I mean, you get told you can't do this, you can't do that. I mean, okay, like, so how else am I supposed to, redirect this? I mean, it's not like I can just simply, you know. So how else am I supposed to manage these? Sorry about that. New tab here. Go there. I wanted to make sure that it's properly. Is it? It is. Good. You don't need that. You don't need that issue right now. Anyways, we don't get taught how to properly manage our anger. And just the few people that do want to help, I mean, for instance, there was an Erlene in a placement in Houston that I was at. She wanted to help me, but considering that I'm sitting here practically screaming and yelling, I mean, if you're going to sit there and tell me to calm down and all that, I mean, I'd calm down if I could calm down. I mean, not everyone would sit there and like listen to someone that's yelling, but I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here having to yell if people just listen to me. You know? I mean, hear me out. If I do raise my voice, let me know. Tell me, just lower it down a bit. I mean, some of these people, like, because they're told if you're going to sit there and shout, I don't want to hear it. And because they're told that, they end up thinking, well, no one wants to even hear what I have to fucking say. No one wants to hear the issues that I'm sitting here dealing with. No one wants to help me. And that's how they end up taking it. Back to the Fort Bend placement. Like I said, boring, couldn't take it. It actually got to the point to where me sitting here feeling like, the serenity, the calmness, the, oh, it's too good to be true, moments, have literally told a few staff members, and keep in mind, you couldn't even go to school without the school being actually on campus. So, yeah, there was that. You go to school at your home, you go to bed at your home, you can't even leave the house when you need to cool off. I mean, seriously. I mean, sure, there's not, I mean, for a placement that has like 70 kids, I mean, there's only so many people. But, I mean, you also got to understand that when you group up so many people for this issue, all these issues, and you want to try to help them all at once, it's just not going to be possible. So let's just simplify it to after 6 months, I couldn't stand the bullying no more because they had it separated into 2 floors. The top floor is the boys, the bottom floor is the girls. Now each floor was further separated by another door that was separated by age groups. Now I was being bullied by other people my age on one side, so they moved me from the one side to the area with the younger kids. And I was still being bullied. And it's sad because the staff knew it. Like one of the staff members, I can't remember his name anymore, but he literally had said, I know you're getting bullied. If you can wait until I'm on shift next time, I will sit there, have you and these two people in a room. I will sit here and watch the door. You just let out your frustrations on this damn guy, on these guys. And so long as you don't, kill them or anything like that, you're good. I mean, seriously. They knew. And I mean, there's no better way to teach someone that bullying is not fucking good. I mean, seriously. When the calm, nice, kind guy snaps. When the guy that runs his own damn business snaps. When the guy that's pretty much, the geek, the nerd, the guy that literally sits off in a corner and minds his own business, snaps. I can assure you. Yeah, I can assure you, I would have killed the kid. Now, it wouldn't have happened on that, when the guy was on shift, but like I said, I had waited 24 hours. I pretty much could have done. I could have wailed on him. Probably could have. But no. I had snapped, and let's just say the 12-year-old kid, or at least at the time he was 12 years old, the only reason why he's still alive right now is because I had realized I was going to kill him. I was seriously going to suffocate this guy to death. And there was nothing the staff members could do. I mean, literally, 4 staff members could not pry me off this guy. Okay? They had to get one of the beefiest, one of their heavy set staff members. After, I was, pried off this guy to literally practically sit on my ass. Okay? I'm a toothpick. Literally. I'm like 5'10", 5'11", barely weigh 140 pounds. Okay? And this guy literally could sit on me, and I couldn't do shit. Now, after, I realized I was going to kill this guy and yada, 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 they told me to get out. Now, at the time, you could determine that this was being said of get out of the gym being a separate building from the main building. But, when I get told to essentially leave, get out, I'm not just leaving the building I would assume they want me to leave. I'm going to leave completely. And so, when they took me to the main building and, wanted to try to push my ass up the stairs, I was like, no, you guys told me to get out, I'm going to get out. Their front door had windows with plexiglass, okay? I practically put my foot through the plexiglass. I mean, it only took 6 kicks, but it was starting to spider crack. Like, really, really bad. And considering they were trying to say, we didn't tell you to get out, we didn't tell you to leave, I mean, your words were literally, get out, leave. I don't care if you told me to just leave the gym. I am leaving. I don't want to be here no more. Okay? And this is a guy that turned 18. Just recently turned 18. Had a visit with their sister. With their family members, I might add. That did not want to stay in a place that apparently could not help them. What's even sadder is that after they opened the door, because they realized they weren't going to get through to me, and I was literally about to break down the door. Afterwards, I literally passed up the police officer that later arrested me. I mean, I already knew who he was coming for. Whether or not because they called the police or because he happened to see me, and the fact that not only was I wearing the pants of the placement, like I said, you could not have pockets on your pants, so they issued out their own, sort of uniform. This had elastic waistbands, so no belts needed. It had no pockets, and all that. The only reason why this guy did not even realize, or was hesitating to even realize I was even from that one placement, since apparently all the police officers in the area knew, was because I had regular shoes. Yeah, that's right, regular shoes. With shoelaces, in a placement that did not allow regular shoes with shoelaces. No, I mean, it was technically the placement's fault because they bought me the pair of shoes for my 18th birthday. But I mean, I probably had to wait like a few more months before the caseworker could even move me from that placement to somewhere else, but I can assure you it would not have lasted. I would not have lasted. So the police officer essentially had his, sirens going off and all that. I immediately had my hands up. I already knew he was here for me. He had asked me if it was from this place, and I was like, yeah. I was like, I do not want to go back there. For obvious safety reasons, he handcuffed me, put me in the back of the police car, then drove back to it. He saw the front door and how the glass was spider cracked. He was like, "Did you do that?" I was like, "Yeah, I do not want to go back there anymore. I do not want to be there. I'd rather be in jail than to go back there." I don't remember the look on his face, but I would assume he was a bit stunned, a bit shocked, but at the same time he understood. So he left me inside the vehicle, went inside, talked to them in there. It was like, he does not want to come back. So essentially, not only did I get arrested for destruction of property, I mean, kind of obvious with the front door, but there was also the assault on a minor. Like I said, 18, 12 years old. There's a 6-year gap. Like, it's not my greatest memory. The only reason why I even remember such dates and stuff like that, or even the fact that the kid was black, which also can be determined as a hate crime, white. But yeah, I just couldn't handle it. I do feel like it's like this. I do feel bad because I snapped, but at the same time, it's like y'all don't even realize all these issues. That, I mean, sure, okay, yeah, I could have just shot up a school. Okay, in that placement, I couldn't do so. Even in the next placement at I believe it was called Kids Harbor in Alvin, Texas. Well, near Alvin, Texas. Even then, like, it's, I mean, that placement, they actually did a lot better. It was nicer, and at least the Kids Harbor was nicer in terms of all that. The staff members actually genuinely cared. They tried to help. There was actually one point in time, at least there, where they told me if I broke something again that they would call the police on me. Now, obviously, I broke something else again. It ended up happening. Now, while they did try to try to say, just calm down, and all that, we won't call the police. And I'm over here sitting here telling them I don't exactly believe you. You said that if I broke something again, you would call the police. I mean, I'll just sit on essentially the front porch and just wait for them. I mean, it was not exactly the greatest. I mean, I can't deny it. I literally, at that time, had forced their hand to call the police. I mean, but at the same time, you also got to realize a lot of these issues that you guys think, school shootings, okay, yeah, school shooting. But most of the people that have these issues, or a lot of them, they don't have that freedom. I mean, even the ones that shoot the schools apparently have a little bit more freedom than some people. Back to the Kids Harbor place. Yeah, I sat on the patio. There was, let's see, I believe it was Liverpool police pulled up first. Then there was, I believe it was was it Alvin police? Followed by Brazoria County police? Either way, I had 3 police cars literally pull up for me, who was just sitting on the patio, knowing they were coming, and wasn't even going to fight. I just sat there and watched them, pull in. And it's actually sad because one police officer that pulled in first was able to get the story from me. And after he got the story from me, a second police officer pulls in, who then I have to read them tell tale. Only to have to sit there until a third time when a third officer comes in. So people don't even realize the issues that we end up facing today are not exactly just caused by the people that are, it's like this. The person that's shooting up a school wouldn't be sitting there shooting up a school if there wasn't something wrong. Okay, bombing. I mean, seriously, do you think these issues would be present if people properly help someone? Like I said, medication does not help. Medication's just a slight pacifier. Speaking of pacifier, I happen to have a habit. That said, it doesn't solve the root of the issue. Some of these people that have these, I would say, mental issues, these anger issues, these homicidal, suicidal issues, they're all caused by some form of outside issue. For instance, like I said, with me at the time, when I was going to kill that 12-year-old, I was being bullied and I could not escape. Literally, could not escape. In fact, there was a few times I actually had to jump over a fence just to leave from the one area. Otherwise, I mean, you guys sit there and think. I mean, you think I want to sit there and say I'm going to bomb, a corporate company at their house? No. Even if I wanted to and had the means to, Well, even if I had wanted to, currently I do not have the means to so much as leave the house. Did you know that the nearest Walmart from my house right now, if you were to drive from it, it only takes you maybe 5-10 minutes. I don't own a car. It takes me half an hour to get to that Walmart. Okay? It also takes me an hour to get to my roommate's work. An hour. Just walking. Granted, we do have, like, the bus and all that. But the buses, well, come at a certain time. I mean, you're going to be sitting there waiting for 20-30 minutes anyways. In that time, in 20-30 minutes, I could walk to Walmart. And technically back. No issue. I mean, I actually don't even leave the house. The only times I actually walk outside of the house are Saturdays and Sundays. Primarily when my roommate decides he wants to go outside, probably to, go to the park. He has a truck. Whether or not he legally is supposed to be able to drive, or legally driving or not, is up for debate. That said, like, I don't even leave the house. Almost 99% of the time, the farthest I even walk outside of, the house is to the dumpster. 3 minutes away. Literally, I could walk from here to the front door, which the door is kind of that way, then goes that way, down the stairs to the nearest dumpster in 5 minutes. I will be back in 10 minutes. That's as much as that's the amount of walking I actually do outside of the house. In days where I'm actually super pissed, primarily at my roommate, like, it's like this. I wouldn't even be here doing this video right now if it wasn't for the grace of my roommate. I don't make any money. Any of you guys seeing this? I mean, you guys all I technically have. I literally do not make money off of this. I want to, but I don't. It's not linked to PayPal, it's not linked to Cash App, it's not linked to Patreon, it's not linked to anything. I don't make any money off of these videos. I want to. I'd probably do more videos if people would watch more often. But as I sit here with your viewers, I'm pretty much just talking to myself at this point. Do you have any idea of the insanity that is? But some things actually have to be said. If you agree with me, at least subscribe. Watch some of my gaming videos. I try to do a lot of that. Either through the PlayStation 4 when I had it, before it decided to melt, or through, obviously, the computer here. Roommate's background. Not something I would use. Something I would use as a background would be... something... Let's just go with this one. It would be something along the lines of this. This is what I would probably use as my background. So, yeah, that's what I would use as my background. That said, people don't realize the issues that are arising today are because people do not care to listen to other people. People do not properly try to help other people. People think, oh, they're mildly deranged. Give them Risperdal. Give them Intuitive. Give them Adderall. Give them Trazodone. Make them dizzy. Make them sleepy. Give them lithium. The stuff that actually sits around in your veins for months on end after one dose. I mean, yeah, I've been off medication for 9 years. I'm 29. Left child protective custody at 20. Primarily because, well, I probably could have stayed at the placement. It would not have ended well. And it's sadder because they were actually building another building at the placement that became their independent living, which is... Okay, child protective custody has, I would say, a clause where if you're 18, if you are not yet ready to leave care, or if you're not properly prepared, you can stay in care for an additional 3 years until you're 21. Now, I assume this has something to do with the alcohol issues, you know, buying beer at 21. But yeah, that's where, you know, independent living would come in handy, because the independent living would essentially teach people how to essentially live on their own. Something I did not get, by the way. It's also one of the reasons why I'm sitting here relying on a friend that I consider to be pretty much my older brother. I mean, he's practically a full 12 years older than me. Just about a full 12 years older than me. Now, if you're thinking I'm giving up something to stay here, no. The moment anything of that nature comes anywhere near me, I'm actually already out the door. My stuff would have been packed. Well, not exactly in a backpack. Last time I had a backpack and had to walk out. So it's still my backpack. So I lost a blanket, important documents like a Texas ID, birth certificate, social security card, that sort of thing. Actually, no, the birth certificate and social security card, that melted. As for how it melted, it got too wet, and it was during a period of homelessness at that time. And so, yeah, it's essentially disintegrated. But literally, most people do not understand. If you properly help someone, granted, I could be sitting here yelling like, why? Just listen to me. I've got something to goddamn say. And you see, most people just want someone to lend a ear. They don't want someone to sit there and talk back. They just want someone to just sit there and, you know, hear what they have to say. And if they do end up trying to ask for help, granted, they might be still yelling in the process, but if they feel that people are not going to help them and they want help and they're trying to go to people that they feel might help them. But because they're yelling, they get told, if you're going to sit here and yell, I cannot help you. That's actually a bigger, serious issue. If they're yelling, just stop and listen. Even if you have to, how should I put it? One of the foster families that I actually lived with, they adopted my sister. This was also one of the reasons why I had to have, visits with my sister at, certain times. But, that foster parent, I was her first foster kid. Literally. Someone who has anger management issues, who pretty much is a kind, loving guy, was what brought them to be a foster parent. Like, and I was in my second foster home at the time. It was in McAllen, Texas. I would say friends of the foster family I was living with at the time, they apparently had heard about me, and the one foster family, had said, sure, you can go visit with this guy, with these people, and those people actually fell in love. They had me over for my birthday. I was actually quite happy. They actually makes, in my opinion, some of the best banana bread. And while, yes, you could say banana bread is just made with using bananas and not banana nut or anything like that nature, but to me, and come on, the one family that I was staying at before, I had gotten invited, that was my second foster home. Literally, when me, my sister, and my little brother became what was our third foster home's first foster children, we literally, me specifically, brought them into doing foster care, actually wanting to help people. And this was back in, I think it was 2003, 2004. So, yeah, it was actually quite nice. At the time, they had a farm. Like I said, some people actually want to help. Getting back to the main thing there, that foster mom, the third foster family, after the divorce of 2004, 2005, she divorced her husband at the time, and foster kids can't be inside of a foster placement if the foster placement is going through a serious issue like divorce. So, yeah. We were removed and then later placed back, ironically, one at a time. My sister was first. My sister was placed back first since she was, I would say, the most stable. I was placed back next. And lastly was my little brother. But all within an entire year, or not within an entire year of leaving the place, but all within an entire year after being in other foster homes afterwards, we were all placed back with her. She's the only person that I actually considered at this point in time to be my mom, even if she never adopted me or anything like that. I consider her to be more of my mom than my actual biological mom, which I have not seen in over 22 years. Quite honestly, I don't even know if my biological mom is even still alive. Do I want to know? There's a small part of me that is curious to know whether or not she's alive, curious to know where she is or anything like that. But ultimately, no. Could care less. That said, considering she had me when she was 21, can't exactly blame her. I mean, 29, still a virgin. Actually, no, I'm certain that if I asked my sister a similar a question of that nature, she'd find me and probably kill me, strangle me in some way, and I don't exactly want to die yet, not yet. That said, regarding that third foster mom, over the years of being a foster parent, she had adapted to being able to tune out a group of kids. Keep in mind, there's at least 4 or 5 sitting there pretty much talking over each other, okay? That she could literally sit there, tune out all but one kid. And it actually got to the point where me, my sister, my little brother, literally caused someone who could not speak, who was too shy and could not speak, or really speak for himself, literally, after like 3 months, his ass started speaking. Like, he got over his shyness. He got over his anxiety. And was able to ask for things that he himself wanted. It was actually sad to see him, go. But I mean, he got placed back with his actual parents, which was a good thing. That's how, sad it is. Because most people don't even realize that some people yell because they feel that they're not being listened to. If the person that wants to help generally wants to help, it doesn't matter if the other person's yelling or not. You sit there and listen. Granted, your ears might hurt after some time, and it might be hard to actually understand because they're yelling. But the person that is yelling generally just wants someone to hear them. They don't necessarily need the person to, I want to say, tell them what to do. They just need someone to hear them. Like, if they're yelling, the yelling is a form of venting. For instance, if you're pissed off, and you feel like you want to break something, generally you break something, and after you broke it, it's, my God, what a relief. But to release that amount of energy, you have to do something. You can't just release it or, have it pent up, because then it explodes, like the Fort Bend issue, where I nearly killed someone. For just being bored for 6 months. Literally, I practically put my foot through plexiglass in only 6 kicks. If you don't know how hard that is, plexiglass, you could punch it directly on. You break your fist before you broke the glass. Now, granted, one could say the mechanics of the horse kick is a bit more forceful, and I can't deny that. But I mean, it still only happened in 6 kicks. Like, if you generally, truly want to help people, if you're generally, truly worried about bomb threats, that you would have to sit there and pay, or I'd say sit there and just have the Federal Bureau of Investigation sit there and go to someone's house because they made a bomb threat to bomb, every person involved at Infinity Ward, Activision, Raven Software, Treyarch. I mean, at this point, Treyarch, they've actually been doing a pretty good job. They're probably the only ones I would not bomb had I not only had the means but actually wanted to. Yeah, they would be the only ones. Why? Because they actually can make proper games. The issues, and as to why I made such a bomb threat, Activision is literally sitting there trying to push through a deal with Microsoft that literally is robbing other players of games. Now, sure, you could say that because Microsoft claims that they're going to make a deal with Sony about, releasing Call of Duty games on their platform for like another 10 years. But if games are being made every 2 years, that's only 5 games. And even if they get 10 years worth of Call of Duty, who's to sit there and say that after the 10 years, Microsoft would be sitting there saying, yeah, you don't get Call of Duty no more. In fact, they've already gone to, when Sony had started to, sign a deal with I would say they are a competitor developer, someone that actually is capable of making games somewhere on par with Activision, but is not as known. And Microsoft is literally sitting there telling Sony, "Good for you. Go continue to do that." I mean, does that not already hint that if they're sitting there telling Sony to hire another company that is, I would say, isn't as known, doesn't have as big of a staffing as Activision, but is still technically capable of making games on par with the current, Call of Duty and all that. And Microsoft is saying, yeah, you go do that. You do that, and we're going to do our own thing. If you really want Call of Duty on your or Call of Duty style perfection on your platform, you hire that other group. I mean, isn't that already a big fuck you to Sony? I mean, I don't even know the developer. I can't even remember their name. The only thing I even remember from of that was that they're practically on par with Activision. That's about it. That's complaint essentially number 1. I mean, it's not exactly a great complaint, but it's still a complaint. The second one would be Activision, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, all of that claim to sit there and be using the cutting edge anti-cheat. Ricochet, by the way. And they claim to be banning accounts every single day. Well, let me sit here and tell you. You can ban accounts all you want. it doesn't solve the root of the issue. Just like sitting there medicating someone does not solve the root of the issue. Like, I even had started to practically create new accounts just to sit there and but yeah, there's that. Third issue would be they sit there and claim to be fixing the game, but they've broken the game more than they fixed. Case in point, I actually haven't played it since yesterday's update. Or I haven't played it since Monday. I haven't played Call of Duty since Monday at all. FBI came in yesterday. I believe it was around 3:45, 3:50. And I left about 4:10 p.m. Ironically, before my roommate got home. About an hour and a half before my roommate got home. That said, my third complaint, aside from, Microsoft Activision deal, which is already a big, I would say, as irony would have it, a big deal. The anti-cheat not being proper, them claiming to ban accounts, but that does little to pretty much nothing. I mean, nothing. It's pretty much like, it's like this. I could sit there, put my hand under my ass, take a dump, and that's better, that's better shit than what their anti-cheat or even banning other accounts do. Like I said, I created like 3-4 different Twitter accounts. Literally new ones after one gets banned, okay? Or, I lose access to one. Now, understand, on Android phones, lately, you can't even create a new Google account on an Android phone without removing any existing accounts. There's actually a loophole for that, and I don't want to go into detail about how there's a loophole. That said, yeah. I mean, seriously, people can create an account left and fucking right. It doesn't do shit. Especially for a game that is free. Yeah, Warzone. Warzone 1, Warzone 2, DMZ. In fact, did you know? They technically only have to buy the game one time. That's right. They only have to buy the game one time. $70 for Modern Warfare 2. Just one time. Hell, $100 if they got the Vault Edition. One time. And it's not even account linked. Account locked. Did you not know that? Literally, I could sit here in my Battle.net right now, as you would soon see it after it loads up. Come on now. There we go. Yeah. Got it. There's an update. I'll just do that later. Black Ops Cold War has an update. As you can see, I could play this. But, did you know that technically, all this right here, you don't actually have to buy the game. In fact, the only reason why it will sit there and tell you have to buy the game is to make sure that you are actually capable of playing it on that account. Did you know that as long as you log out of, say, Battle.net, Steam, you can technically go into another account through Battle.net or Steam, log in, and because the game is already installed, you can just load up the battle. You can just load up the game. It will, well, it will essentially load up, the account listed in Battle.net or Steam, but you don't even have to buy the game again. Don't want to go through and having to log out and prove all of that, because creating a new account still requires a phone number I don't actually have. Like, the one tied to this is pretty much my one tied to my mother's number. The mother that is my mother but isn't my mother, if that makes any sense. Like, seriously. You don't even have to rebuy the game. And you can sit there and cheat all you want. Sure, there's, account bans, hardware bans, where they ban the computer itself. But I mean, once you already have the game installed, it doesn't matter how many computers you use. Like I said, you don't even have to sit there and play on the account that you bought the game with. Meaning, you could sit here, buy the game on one account, log out, have it installed, log into a new account, and you can play the game still. That's how stupid it is. And I mean, even on their website, when you go to, hold up, did you know? Technically, you don't even have to get it on the Battle.net. You can technically go all the way. I think it was get the game. No. Yeah, you just have to go over here. There's technically a method of essentially where you can download the exe, the setup exe, and it would yeah, I think they pretty much tried to do that. That said, like, it's not even yeah, I mean, seriously, you could sit here, Steam, I mean, even this, but I mean, there's literally ways you can get the setup files for all of this without even paying. That's how sad it is. I'll have you know. And of course, trying to run the setup, it will launch either the Battle.net or Steam and stuff like that. But that's how stupid it is. Yeah, I put Dead Island, Dark Souls 3. Okay, there should have been a third one. Yeah, that's how stupid it is. People do not realize the stupidity. So let's see, we've got COD deal, we've got the anti-cheat, we've got the cheaters, the account banning. I mean, they fix things that technically weren't exactly broken, which, well, yes, were broken, but it's like this. From my understanding of development in terms of polygonal anatomy of the way things are overlaid in a game, when you move something, let's say a barrel from being slightly, I would say, inanimate, meaning it's not as tough as this, where your hand would go straight through it, so to speak. But and you make that completely solid, you add a whole lot of code to do so. Or you change the code ever so slightly that causes it to render in such a way. But did you know that when you change one code, it screws up something else down the line? It sometimes when you fix one thing, you break three other things. It could be 3 things, it could be 2 things, it could be 1 thing. It could also be 20,000 other things. So, when they sit there and release daily patches over their live patching, not only did they break the game when they released an update yesterday, so much so that, you see, they did weapon tunings for the GS Magna, which is the 50GS full auto version, which is the full auto version of the 50GS, the FTAC, and the X13. The weapons that actually, the pistols that have full auto, and all that. When they did some weapon tuning to those, they broke the game so much that people could not play. Literally could not play. You get these, how should I put it? If you're watching my screen here, it would be like getting these lines that you kind of see from probably my whole imaging here, like you kind of see like that. It would be what is considered stuttering, like this, kind of. Except on such a scale where you try to move left, it takes 3 minutes to move left. And while that may be over-exaggerated, but that's just how bad it was. In fact, it even got to the point where they had to put out another patch, to try to fix that. Considering that people are still complaining about it, even after said patch, they didn't fix the issue. It's stupid. They claim to want to sit there and fix something. I mean, granted, sure. Okay. I mean, people loved Call of Duty when every gun was overpowered. Granted, sniper rifles should in fact be one shot, one kill. I mean, they're snipers. I mean, come on now. who in their right mind thinks snipers should be sitting there at close range, I might add, and not one shot, one kill. I mean, we wouldn't have those 360 trick shooters if, snipers weren't one shot, one kill. I mean, Call of Duty grew up with their guns being overpowered. All of their guns. I mean, the whole point of their DLC bundles where they added new guns. I mean, even if we went back to that, having DLC, proper DLC that was paid for, like the whole shit where content is now free to play for everyone, free to access at any given time, outside of the base game and all that. That's just a marketing ploy by Activision to sit there and shove what they claim to be cosmetics, by the way, but the current lineup of certain content for DMZ right now is not free to play. It's literally going pay to win. I mean, granted, they are, I would say, trying to move back in the direction of DLC, proper DLC, but I mean, it's like there's a right way to go about it and a wrong way to go about it. And yeah, I can understand that technically it is, again, proper DLC, but when people have gotten so used to the free-to-play or free content mechanic, it becomes, how should I put it? It then goes back to being heavily paid to win. Now, if they went back to, say, having DLC where there was like downloaded maps, like separate map packs and all that you had to pay for to get them again, and they could keep the current market of cosmetic skins and all that, but if they had, say, downloaded map packs that you had to pay for, certain freebies like they have with the classic Ghost bundle skin that costs like 2,400 COD points, where you start out with 2-plate armor, something that other people don't get and can't get because they clearly can't. But with mechanics such as that, you're getting matched with players who have a clear advantage on something that is claiming purely cosmetic. It'd be one thing if they had the matchmaking for, say, like when they did with Black Ops 3, where if you didn't have the DLC, you could not play on the DLC maps. If they brought back that, where with like the 2-plate armor, where people are getting matched with people who have access to the 2-plate armor at start, should get matched with people who have the 2-plate armor at start. I mean, why do you think they increased the Warzone armor limit from, everyone starting out with 2-plate armor, then immediately just giving everyone, immediately 3-plate armor, but with only 2 plates. They wanted to even the playing ground. And at this point, it's just me rambling. At this point, like, I still have like 10 levels in Modern Warfare 2 just to grind for the season. To be quite honest, I almost don't even want to do that. There's like still like 20, 30 days left in the season, and I don't even want to finish grinding the last 10 levels of the season. I've already completed a battle pass. I've completed the event camos. I've completed the trophy hunting event. But that's the way Call of Duty is. And the way that... You see, I'm not exactly upset that they sent the FBI after me. What I'm upset at is, okay, they spent the effort to have, FBI sent after me. Something that didn't happen when I, let's just say, said a similar thing to Let It Die and all that. Also on Twitter, and actually using my proper name. Twitter account that, let's just say, is technically disabled due to something I said in regards to racism, but the reason why I won't, delete it to regain access to it is because I used not 1, not 2, not 3, I think 4, maybe even 5 racial slurs for different races. And then I even used the term humans. After all, we're all human. Are we not? I mean, some people certainly don't seem human to me. Some of them are great friends, and some of them would pretty much kill me if I said any one of the 5 words that I said. But we're all human. We're all biologically human. Sure, you could say that humans make mistakes. Yes, humans do make mistakes. But you can't sit there and develop a game. In fact, new games almost repeatedly, and expect people to think, oh, this is just a mistake, when you've been doing it for years. It's like if I said I'm sorry, 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 I'm sorry. Now, which one of those I'm sorries did I truly mean? After which point did the I'm sorry lose its meaning? Do you see? Now, while I am sorry, at the start of the I'm sorry, list, yeah, I didn't mean it at that point in time. That said, yeah, that was just used for an example. Anyways, the same applies to, games. You've been doing it for years. How the hell do you make a rookie mistake? Oh, you're using new, programs? Okay. But, you should still know the program inside and out before you properly use it. I mean, you can't sit there and release something on a from a new program without properly knowing what it's properly capable of. No? I mean, it's actually to the point where they need to make 3 games. That's right, just 3. That's all they have to make. Okay? 1 from Infinity Ward, 1 from Sledgehammer, 1 from Treyarch. Okay? Since Treyarch happens to be great with, and it's like this. Every year that, since we get, the 3 games on a cycle, every year we get new content for that game. That said, all 3 development teams should work as one. Okay? For instance, when it comes to the Modern Warfare series, Treyarch happens to be great when it comes to, I would say, the storyline. Sledgehammer happens to be great when it comes to the spawn mechanics. And Infinity Ward happens to be great when it comes to map design. Okay? Now, this seems to be a bit of an issue. All 3 teams are vying in a competition to see who can make the most money. I mean, I understand that you need money to survive at this point, but I understand that these companies are also trying to increase diversity among the workforce, or, among their work, environment. But if your games start to take a hit, not just because of you trying to increase profits, something that, I mean, and all that, but also because of, you increasing diversity among the work area because of that whole scandal, then is the game that you're putting out even a proper Call of Duty anymore? When it's lost its quality, when it's lost its... The only word that comes to mind is quality, but there's another way about that. Games are for the entertainment of the people, of the masses. Yes. Without the masses, without the people wanting the entertainment, the only people that would sit there and play the games are probably the developers themselves. And let me just say this now. If you, the developers, because I'm assuming at some point in time, Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Raven Software, Sledgehammer, Activision, I'm assuming this is going to reach you at some point. But if your games take a hit, sorry about that, if your games take a hit because of your greediness, because of you trying to fill the role of we are a diverse group, we care more for diversity than we do about the quality of our games, I actually have to wonder, do you genuinely want to play your own games? Seriously. Do you seriously want to play your own games? If the answer is no, then why are you putting out the quality of crap for us? we sit here and play your games. Mostly because it's you guys who create them. Not because the games themselves are particularly great, but because we have hopes, we have dreams. We feel that you might actually make better content, better games. But every single time you disappoint us with the quality of crap that you have given us, we start to wonder, why? Why do we put up with this? At that point, when you yourselves don't even want to play your own game, you and pretty much any other company that you have, I want to say, dragged into and all that, like with Microsoft. Microsoft is the only reason why it's still up and running is because, well, the computers here literally run Microsoft. They can't. You won't find a computer that won't run Microsoft. But if Microsoft buys you out and you drag Microsoft's name through their grass, well, I would say grass, but it would have to be mud or shit. You not only would your entire development team or teams, you would cease to exist. Minecraft, it got bought out. It's still a great hit. But the rate that you guys are going, if it continues, even after you get bought out, you will cease to exist. Whether it be because I don't want to say someone decided to bomb or anything like that, but I mean, as I want to say, I believe it was Isaac Newton had said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I, for one, tend to be those that react, and so, and for better or for worse, given the fact that I have anger management issues, I have ended up thinking of myself as a reactor. For better or for worse, the double meaning being, someone who reacts to something, or in the case of, say, Chernobyl, Russia, a relatively nuclear meltdown, which can also be seen as a anger management issue. Most of this video, I didn't look at the camera. It's kind of hard to. To be quite honest, it even feels awkward, because normally I'm sitting here looking down at what games I'm sitting here playing. Kinda can't do that. I'm sitting here looking at the developers, hopefully, and letting you know. One day, you will be the destruction of yourself. That's it. I wish you all the luck. And unless other people sit here and are willing to buy the game 2 or even 3 times, I refuse to buy another game from you, Activision. If you decide to merge with Microsoft, I will refuse to buy another game from Microsoft. primarily because you exist. That's it. Goodbye. Have fun.